Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if you're new here, my name is Casey. I'm a registered nurse currently working inpatient at a level 1 trauma center in Northern California. In October of 2023, I completed my nurse residency program, and in this video, I'll be sharing my experience and 5 things I think every new grad nurse should know before starting their residency or before starting their first job as a registered nurse. So a little bit about my experience. In October of 2022, after graduating from nursing school and passing the NCLEX, I was one of about 30 to 40 new grads that were accepted out of a pool of over 700 applicants, and I was hired into the new grad nurse residency program as a float pool nurse. If you're not familiar with float pool nursing, we basically go to whichever unit in the hospital that is short-staffed for that shift. In my hospital, there are 14 different acute care units that I can be floated to. I can also float to the emergency department, the cardiothoracic step-down unit, and the PACU. My new grad nurse residency program was 1 year long. In the entire year, I probably went to 7 to 8 different of those 14 units. I was on each unit for about 1 to 2 months each. And after I was done with my new grad nurse residency program, I began daily floating, which is what I'm doing right now. So daily floating, every shift I'm going to a different unit, and I find out which unit I'll be floating to a couple of hours before my shift starts. So that is my overall experience with my new grad nurse residency program. If you have any questions about my float pool nursing experience, you can ask them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them. But let's jump in to the 5 things I think every new grad nurse should know before starting their residency program or before starting their first job as a registered nurse. Number 1, let's just get this one out of the way. It's going to be hard. Now that's obvious. You already know this. Nursing school wasn't easy, neither is being an actual nurse. So why do I want to talk about this first? There is a steep learning curve. You're probably fresh out of nursing school, or you're going to graduate from nursing school soon, and you haven't practiced most of your clinical skills on real patients yet. So just be patient with yourself, give yourself some grace, and know that it is hard for everyone starting out in the beginning. Don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions. Even when you feel like you're asking too many questions, you cannot ask too many questions. There's a lot you don't know, and your preceptor or the nurses on your unit should understand that you are a new grad nurse and you're trying to learn everything that you can. Pre-shift anxiety is a thing, so do whatever you can before your shift to feel more comfortable, to start your shift off right. You need to find a pre-shift routine that works for you. For me, usually while I'm getting ready, I'll put on a playlist, I'll listen to some of my favorite music, or just music that uplifts you before your shift. For me, I listen to Goodness of God by CeCe Winans. My sister put me onto that one. I can listen to that song on repeat. I've been listening to this song just recently, actually. I added it to the playlist not too long ago, and so I start my shift with less anxiety, less stress, and just kind of calm. So you can try that out if that works for you. Good Day by Frank Forrest, I believe his name is it Frank Forrest? Oh my god, Forrest Frank. Just puts me in a really good headspace before going to work, and I noticed I am less anxious going into work. It's literally called Pre-Shift Playlist. It's what works for me. It works. It works. If you have pre-shift anxiety, it works. Do it. It's hard for all of us. We all have those hard days, those hard shifts that make us go home and cry and make us question why we ever became nurses. But if you stick it out long enough, you will learn that it does get easier and you will get more comfortable. You will slowly start to build your confidence, as I am still doing 15 months in. But you have to give yourself time. You have to give yourself grace, and you need to ask for help when you need it. So number 1, it's going to be hard, but it does get better and it will be worth it. Number 2, be prepared for handoff report. I don't know if it's just me. I think it took me a couple of months, I feel like, and everyone's different, okay? Some people get it right off the bat. Other people like me take a couple of months at least to get comfortable giving handoff report. I know in nursing school you learn how to do the S-bar and you probably practice in clinical. For me, I guess my experience in nursing school wasn't enough, because being on the floor and actually needing to be the one to give a full handoff report and answering all the questions, I found myself not being prepared at all. I always felt like my report was all over the place. Obviously, you give a background on the patient, why they're there, their past medical history. And then before I made my own nurse brain, which I will link below in the description, I used to always write down for every patient in this order: neuro, cardio, respiratory, GI, GU, mobility, skin, access, and drips if they have any drips going on. These are all the things that I feel like I need to know before starting my shift. You finish off with, what are we doing with the patient? What is their plan? And so that's why I started creating my own nurse brain, just because it was more effective for me and I felt like I was giving better reports that way. Number 3, don't take it personal. Now, I say this because hopefully you never have to go through this, but I think it's common. It happens no matter what hospital, no matter what unit. But there are some nurses that are, what's the word? Not as friendly as other nurses. The majority of nurses are very nice, very kind, they're patient, they want to teach you and help you rather than make you feel dumb. I think every new grad nurse should know this. Don't take it personal. If a nurse is being kind of rude when she or he is giving handoff report, or when they're asking you questions when you're giving them report, don't take it personally. Maybe they had a rough shift, or if you're giving them report and they're coming off as rude, maybe what they went through before their shift is stressing them out. Just don't take it personal. I know I always did. It's happened to me a few times where I felt like nurses were rude, and I wasn't sure if it's because I'm a new grad and they felt like I wasn't doing a good job. I don't know what it was, but I think we're just better off by not taking it personal. Understand that people may have had a hard shift or something is stressing them out in life. Obviously, if they are bullying you, go to your manager. Don't allow it to continue. But for the most part, if someone's feeling a little bit rude, just don't take it personal, brush it off. Hopefully the next day they're a little bit nicer. And I recommend that you continue to be nice to them. Maybe it'll help their day get better. I don't know. But I thought I should share that just because as a new grad nurse, we already feel so anxious and nervous. And so, little things like that, don't let it stress us. Number 4, practice critical thinking skills. And the best way to do this is just by asking why. The sooner you do that, the better off you'll be. Always ask why, even to simple things. If the doctor puts in a new order for continuous IV fluids for lactated ringers or D5/2, whatever fluid it is, ask why. You can ask your preceptor, you can ask another nurse, you can ask the doctor. Before asking the doctor though, you can check in the notes, and you can usually just ask your preceptor, another nurse, and ask why was this ordered for this patient. It'll help you build your confidence as a nurse. You'll better understand why we're treating this patient with X, Y, or Z. That's a really good and quick, easy way to build your critical thinking skills, and you can do it today. Every shift, every decision, we should be practicing critical thinking. But I think as a new grad, it's really easy to not practice critical thinking because we already have so much going on and so much that we're learning already, that asking the simple why question is just, we don't think about it. So I highly encourage you. I know everything is new, you're overwhelmed with a whole bunch of information, but the sooner you can start asking the why question to your preceptor or to other nurses on your unit, the better off you'll be. And the 5th thing I think every new grad nurse should know is practice your time management skills. Your time management skills. Your time management skills. I know we talk about this a lot in nursing school. You hear about it all the time. Time management being the hardest thing for new grad nurses. They say this and they talk about this because it's true. It's one of the hardest things to do as new grad nurse because you're overwhelmed with information. With all the skills that nurses do a lot. We do a lot. We do everything. At my hospital, we don't have nurse assistants. I hope yours does. So if you don't have a nurse assistant, you're taking all the vitals, you're doing all the activities of daily living with the patients, you're bathing them, you're doing everything. So time management skills, this is very important. You first need a good nurse brain that works for you. And second, practice clustering your care. The sooner you do this, the better off you'll be. I think when I first started out, I wasn't clustering my care. So I'd be running in between rooms and running out of the room to grab something. I was just a hot mess. So I'm here right now telling you, before you start your new grad program, or if you've already started, start doing this your next shift, okay? Cluster your care. So come in a little bit early if you can, just to look over your patients, and find out where you can cluster care. So what does that mean? It means doing your vitals, doing your head to toe assessment, and passing your meds all at the same time. That also means grabbing your flushes, your alcohol swabs, putting them in your pockets. Grab more than a few. You know you're gonna need them. But that way, when you're in there doing your assessment, you're not running back out because you don't have a flush. Okay, so grab your flushes, grab your alcohol swabs, grab your stethoscope, have everything you need, and cluster your care. Take their vitals, assessment, pass the meds, flush their IVs, and you're on to the next one. Cluster your care. Cluster your care. Cluster your care. That's the best way to practice your time management skills, and then eventually you'll have your own flow going and it'll just be like second nature. Your time management skills will get better with time, but the sooner you do that and cluster your care, you'll be better off. So that is all for this video. If you found this information helpful, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.